Good evening, and welcome, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, to the People's Choice here on WCEG Network, the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been some time since last I've been with you, but I'm excited today, probably more excited than normal because I have a very special guest, a very good guest, a wonderful friend, somebody who's a friend to everybody, probably one of the hardest working women I know, aside from the producer of this here show. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the People's Choice for the very first time, the mayor of the city of Lithonia, the Honorable Shameka Reynolds. Good evening and
Good
welcome.
evening. Good evening. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. We thank you. I know that your schedule is always nonstop, and I understand right now you're pulling double duty. So I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join
No
us
problem.
this evening. Listen, you are a hot commodity everywhere. Everybody wants the mayor. And so I'm just glad that you thought enough of little old Joe Flint to give me an opportunity to chat with you a
No
little while
problem.
here on the People's Choice. Well, I'm going to get right into it. There's been a lot of conversation about all the executive orders and things that the current president, President Donald Trump, has been signing. And it made me think, what type of executive privilege and orders do local government officials have,
Mhm.
such as the mayor, such as the governor? And we know that everybody has their level of executive privilege
Mhm.
and orders that they are able to dish out in their local areas, in their municipalities. But everybody doesn't know exactly what a mayor does. Everybody, and
Right.
now I'm sure you may or may not face this issue, but everybody who thinks that they live in Atlanta, even if they live in Lithonia, swear their mayor is Andre Dickens, and they don't even realize they're not living in the Atlanta city limits. But everybody wants to claim Atlanta to be
That
their mayor,
happens
and
a
they live in
lot.
Stockbridge. I
Yeah,
don't know how that works.
that
Yeah,
happens a
people
lot.
do it a lot. So understanding that people need to know that every municipality, at least most of them, have
Hmm.
their own council and mayor. And
Right.
can you? So I'm just going to into some questions with you.
Okay.
First, if you don't mind, because our listeners have never had a chance to know you, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Well, of course, my name is Mayor Shameka Reynolds. I'm from the city of Lithonia, Georgia. Attended Lithonia High School, Georgia Southern, Gupton Jones College of Funeral Service. I have two sons. Just a town girl, I guess you'll say, but a L town girl, really, from the city of Lithonia.
I'm down.
Right. So I've been here, of course, all my life, and that's the reason, basically, why I'm in this position. People know me, trust me, because of our funeral services that we render here in the city of Lithonia. So they just thought, it would be a good idea for me to run for city council. I ran for city council, won 2 terms, did that for 8 years. And then I also decided to run for mayor. Citizens told me that it was time for me to do that. I didn't think it was time, but I had to wait on God and just make sure this would be a right decision for me. And actually, this is the best decision I've ever made as far as being in the political realm. So I'm grateful today for this opportunity, Mr. Flint. And the questions that you want answered as far as on the local side of government. So that's basically it.
Well, thank you so very much. Let me backtrack. I forgot to mention the disclaimer. The views
Mhm.
and the words that are coming forward today are views and words of Joe Flynn and Joe Flynn only. Don't call WCEG, don't call Penny, don't call nobody saying that WCEG said. These are the viewers' words and choices of the people's choice and Joe Flint alone.
Okay.
So, but thank you for
Okay.
that introduction there, Shamika. I'm going to be
Mhm.
informal for a minute, if you don't mind, if I could just call you by your
Okay.
name.
Yes.
But tell us, what is your favorite thing about living in Lithonia? What's your favorite thing?
Everybody knows everybody. That's it. We take care of each other.
Yes,
We're a very safe community in the city of Lithonia. If anything goes down, the next person over will know about it. That's what I'm grateful for. It's
yes.
like it's different families in this city, but it's a whole family basically, and everybody knows everybody basically. There is a lot of people that have moved this way that came from, I can tell you, like Moreland Avenue up 20 West. They came this way east because they pretty much wanted a more safe environment. They wanted somewhere to raise their children safely. We're seconds from I-20, but long story short, we're a very close knit community, and that's what I'm grateful for. At this moment, still at this moment. That's why I always say a better Lithonia, because each year gets better and better and better. And me growing up in the city of Lithonia, I have always been safe. So I just want to continue that legacy that we have here.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that. Listen, let me
Mhm,
tell you my personal only true story that I remember about Lithonia growing up is
mhm.
my grandparents lived in the townhomes or condos. You can see them off of I-20 if you're going east. You can
Yeah,
see
I
them
know
off
exactly
there
what
to
you're
the
talking
lived
about.
there for a while, right? Before he moved back to Monroe and bought a house there. But there was, I
Mhm.
think, right next to the council, the city hall, that used to be a Piggly Wiggly over there. Was that not a Piggly Wiggly?
It was
Or
a
what was that grocery
Winn-Dixie.
store? A Winn
Winn-Dixie.
Dixie, that's what it was.
That's
So
what it
my
was.
grandmother used to shop at that Winn Dixie all the
Hmm.
time when they lived there, and
Hmm.
never realizing years later that I would be knowing the mayor at the building right next door. How about it?
Wonderful,
Well, listen,
wonderful.
so absolutely, that's my vivid memory of Lithonia from a child. You've already stated how you got into the
Hmm.
political arena. What do you
Hmm.
believe in dealing with Lithonia? What do you believe is the most pressing issue facing your city here in 2025?
Ooh, getting people to patronize. Um,
Hmm,
we still going to North DeKalb. We still going to different places with
right,
restaurants, shopping, things of that nature. But the thing is that I
right.
found out we need something to offer. That's one of the
Hmm,
main reasons why I wanted to be on city council, why I wanted to be mayors, because I want our city to thrive just like other cities. I want to be a
right.
city where people will come and say, "Oh, I got to go to Lithonia today. I need to go pick up this outfit that I saw at such and such boutique." Things of that nature. That's the type of talk. That's what I
Right,
want, basically.
right.
It could be food, entertainment, it could be living space. It doesn't matter, but I want us to be recognized for that, and I will continue to run for mayor until that happens. So I want to
Look at
publicly say that. Yeah.
you heard it here first on the People's Choice that she
Right.
will keep running. So y'all say
Right.
I'm coming to Lithonia. Well, listen, let me tell you,
Exactly.
when I'm over that way, generally I'm going to that JJ's Chicken and Fish right there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. On Eva's Meal. That's right.
Right on your road. Always got to get me some of that. Well,
Right.
listen, so I want to get into this executive privilege thing, but
Mm-hmm.
thank you for giving us just some background, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of who you are and the city in and of itself.
Yes.
So there's no question that everybody, I mean, there's not a person who is of adult age who pays attention to our world and especially to our
Yes.
country that has not been aware that President Trump has been signing executive orders like old ladies pass out candy in church on Sunday. And so when it comes to that, I'm going to talk about his area a little later, but I wanted to ask you from a mayoral standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the privileges and or executive orders or executive opportunities that you have to execute certain things that you would like to see or to change things that you have seen as mayor?
Let me tell you first, this first thing I want to say. This is something that my grandmother used to tell me a long time ago. You have to know what the left hand is doing and the right hand. Each left and right, they got to know what each other's doing, basically.
Okay.
And I
Yes.
say that is because I can't sign anything unless it has been approved by my council. I
Mhm.
just can't go and sign stuff and it's gold. That's not how it works. So
Right.
that's why I'm kind of baffled on our government on a national level, how it's going now.
Right.
I don't understand it. And right now I don't think it's the time for me to understand it. They need to figure it out.
Right.
But as for the city of Lithonia and the cities that are surrounding us, we're together. We're going to make our communities better. And sometimes you just have to overlook some things that's going on to find peace. But right now, I'm just worried about being affected by some things. But that's a totally different conversation. As far as executive orders, when we have our city council meeting, we have it on the first and third Mondays. So just
Mhm.
like today, when I sent you a message about I was in the meeting, at this present moment, we have about four different businesses that are trying to come into the city of Lithonia. They
Gotcha.
want to do a lounge, they want to do a restaurant, then it flips from maybe want to do entertainment, things of that nature. So a lot of things has already been put in place from administrations before me. You can have this, you can have that, you can have this, you can have that. But you have to stay within those guidelines. So the council has to make a decision tonight if they want it or not. I don't vote. All I do
Okay.
is pretty much preside over the meeting and make sure it flows properly. But if there's a situation where there's a tie, that's when I have to come in and break that tie,
Right.
basically. But
Absolutely.
as far as orders is concerned, the orders and ordinances are pretty much done by our city council in the city of Lithonia. Once those are put in place and the legal team has grasped it and pretty much done what they need to do, that's when I sign
Hmm.
it. So all this stuff has to be done before I even put a pen to it. So that's why
Right.
a lot
Right.
of times I'm baffled. I'm like, okay, how did they do this? And he just got it off. But you know what? That's another conversation. But as far as local
For another
government,
time.
I know what has to happen before I put my pen to it. So it's a little different.
So I know that the state of Georgia, and I'm sure many other states probably have
Mhm.
the same thing. And I probably will misquote the name of the organization, but it's the
Mhm.
Georgia Municipal. Uh,
Association.
yes, yes.
That's what I'm
And
a
so,
part of. GMA.
okay, I got you. So in that association, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
there is classes, if you will, or
Yes.
teachable moments about your role serving as a council,
Yes.
serving
That's
as a
right.
mayor, and so on and so forth. And
Hmm.
so now, does that role or does that organization, talk specifically for mayors, all of Georgia, or do they have to break it down based on certain
It's
municipalities?
it's everybody.
Yes,
Everybody, all of us is taking the same classes. If you're on city council, that's where I started in GMA back
yes,
in 2011 and been a member since. They
yes.
groom me for that position. They'll tell you
Right.
everything you need to know. If you continue
Yes.
to do the lessons that they teach you every year, we meet in Savannah June of every year. So just like you go to a funeral convention, it's the same thing.
Right.
You get hours
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff, but you have to really listen, and the questions and answers are really good. That's what I always like when I see other cities going through what we going through. It could be a smaller
Right.
city, it could be a bigger city, but it just depends. And then they also have this thing where they'll take all the small cities, have a convention just
Hmm.
for us. And that works as well.
Right.
They teach you everything you need to know as far as the mayor, if you're a mayor, if you're a city council, even if you're a city manager. They have chief
Right.
school, they have officer, police training, things of that nature. It's a whole bunch of stuff that they have, and I'm grateful for GMA.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. A question was asked before we came
Hmm.
on. And I think I know the answer, but I wanted you to answer this.
Hmm.
Is the city of Lithonia, are the elected officials nonpartisan?
Now that I don't think so. Think so.
So
I
when
think
you are
so.
running for mayor, do you have to run as a registered Democrat or a registered Republican or
They
anything
don't
like that?
get
Do you have to
we
run?
don't get into we don't get into all of that. But the thing is, when I vote,
Right.
of course I'm a Democrat. Um,
Right. Right.
as far as others, I have no idea who's on my council that's a Republican, Democrat. I don't know.
Right.
And it doesn't
So
matter
that
to
would
me.
mean that so they run nonpartisan. So
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
running
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nonpartisan races,
Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah, yeah.
should be
That's true.
on the city
That's
level. It should be
mm-hmm,
on the city level. It
mm-hmm.
should not be
Yeah,
that way. So yeah, thank
yeah.
you for that. So this is is this third term now?
This is my
Second
second
term.
second term as mayor. Hmm.
Second
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Listen, I'm already putting you into third and fourth term. I remember when we talked once before about you running again, but not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that that was for you to run a second
Mm-hmm.
term.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what would you say outside of what you want for the city? What is the most challenging thing for you in this role as mayor?
Well, when they feel like when they know you, they feel like they can call you and change things. That bothers me. It doesn't work that way because one thing I've learned that if you do for one, you have to do for the other. I'm not starting that
Right,
trend. I just can't. But I have
right,
to
right.
be fair, and you have to remain neutral to things and stay out of things that doesn't involve you. So you may have
Right.
somebody saying, "Hey, I got a ticket. I'm trying to see if you can help me." And I'm like, "What's going on?" Of course, I want to know what's going on. But if I feel
Right.
like it's a
Right.
situation where I need to stay out of, I need to stay out of it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to
And
start using my resources. I forgot. Yeah, I didn't forget that you're the mayor, but I just think
no,
about it next time I
don't
speak.
call me.
I'm gonna call the mayor. Be like, don't
Don't
you know
call
I know
me.
Mika? Don't
And that's what's crazy because a lot of officers say, Shameka, we stopped such and such, and they said they your cousin. I said who? And they give me the name. I said I don't know who that is. So that's why I say everybody know everybody. But
I'm
yeah,
sure. I'm quite
they
sure.
try to use it. It's funny. It's
I'm
funny.
quite sure.
Yeah.
So I want to ask this question
Hmm.
as a business owner.
Hmm.
Do you find any conflict of interest being a business owner and serving, as city council previously and now as a mayor?
Yeah.
Do you find that people question your ability to
Hmm.
be nonpartisan in that
Hmm.
avenue?
No, not at all. I don't see it being a conflict because I've learned a lot of times you don't need to talk politics
Right.
about any, you just like religion. It's the same thing. Don't even talk
Right.
about it. Talk about other things. Yeah. But
Right.
it's
Right.
not a conflict at all. It sometimes it helps because people just want to know, can I really trust you? I'm like, yeah, you can trust
Right.
me with your
Right.
loved one. I'm the mayor. What you mean? So
Right.
so
Right.
yeah, you can trust me. I'm gonna do right by you. So yeah, but I don't see it being a conflict. No.
Got you. Now, what are term limits? Are there term
Mhm.
limits for? So
So
I'm
guess
assuming
what?
it's every 4 years.
Yeah, so every 4 years, you have to run again, basically. But
Mhm.
I always thought I was the same as the president. You only get to run 2 times. But here in
Right.
the city of Lithonia, they pulled the charter and told me, they said, Shameka, you can run for mayor as long as you want to. And I said, whoa. Um, so that's why I said I want to make a mark. I
Yeah.
want to make a difference with the city of
Right.
Lithonia
Right.
before I even attempt to do something else. So until I make
Yes.
that
Yes.
mark and I've made a difference in my community, I'm going to continue to run until I'm done, until I'm finished doing what I need to do for our people. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That makes sense. I would
Hmm.
I would like to think that, many people who were elected to positions
Hmm.
literally are elected or their thought process, I want to
Yeah.
serve until I have
Yeah.
accomplished what I need to for my
Right.
communities. Now, unfortunately, we don't always see that on the congressional level.
Right.
There literally needs to be term limits in Congress, but unfortunately, there
Yeah.
aren't.
Yeah.
I am a proponent term limits for the Supreme Court justices as well,
Mhm.
because not even age wise, but I think 20 years, maybe 12 to 18 years is enough for
Mhm.
them because things change. Law may not change, but the
Yeah.
movement of the people and the status and the change of the community is
Mhm.
always evident in a new election and things of that nature. I don't know that you can really respond or answer to these things, but
Okay.
serving as a mayor in a local city, knowing some of the federal mandates that have come down, has your
Mhm.
city been affected at all by any of the federal mandates that have come down or any of the executive orders that the president has signed?
One thing that is concerning a lot of citizens and is my seniors is that
Hmm.
Meals on Wheels program. Um,
Okay.
they're really worried about it because that's how they eat.
Yes.
Um, it's sad to say, that something like that so fast trickled down to us. But that's one thing that I
Yes.
keep hearing about. I have a nonprofit. I think they're in Lithonia or they're in Stonecrest. I'm not sure where they're registered, but they called me last week and they're having meetings about
Hmm.
that particular, executive order that he did. Because it's affecting a lot of people. And I understand, like what is it, WIC, um, what's the other one? Something else. Not
The
Social
SNAP,
Security. It's
TANF,
something else.
that
Snap.
nature.
That's 10. Yeah, all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they start saying that they're about to have meetings regarding that because I didn't realize it's a lot of people that's being affected, and it's not. People keep thinking it's black, it's black people. It's
Of
all
course,
people.
that's all
It's all people.
process. Yeah,
So it's across the board. So that's what we're worried about right now. The people that really need it.
mm,
Yeah, and it's not that I mean, they're seniors. I mean, they're
right.
retired. They're getting their assistance. Like my grandmother got it. My mom is up for it soon. What's going to be, up for her when that time comes? And right now, it looks like
Right.
absolutely nothing. So that's our worry.
That is a concern, and I'm sure that that's a
Yeah,
concern across the board. How
yeah.
about healthcare in your city? Are your citizens being affected concerning any healthcare issues at all?
No issues yet. Not that I know of. Not yet. Not yet. But I know. I'm going to get personal with you. Um, 2023, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in January. So
Yeah.
I am grateful to God that I had Obamacare because I'm an
Mm,
entrepreneur. I'm a self-employed person, basically. Our funeral
right.
home don't offer benefits. So I have to get what
Mm,
I need to get, on a personal level. So
right.
and then I couldn't ask, for this job here as a mayor is part-time. This is not something full-time. So I can't say,
Right.
"Hey, I need health insurance," and da 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 da. It don't work that way. But all through my years since 1999 as being an entrepreneur, I had to have my own health insurance when I left my
Wow.
previous job, which was AT&T Bell South. That's a whole nother story too. But if it wasn't for Obamacare, I probably wouldn't be doing this Zoom right now. So I was diagnosed, and then next thing I know, it was time to renew. Every November, you have to renew.
Right.
So when it was time for me to renew, I did my normal. I always send my payment with my premium, all that kind of stuff by mail. And
Okay.
I've been doing that for years. During that time, the USPS, Postal Service, they something happened to the Postal Service. I don't know. Our Senator John also, if he's all over it. So I'm
Nobody knows
grateful.
what has happened
I'm
to the
great. I
postal.
know. I'm grateful for him. So long story short, they did not receive my payment. So don't you know my entire health insurance for the following year lapsed. And they
Oh,
told
wow.
me I had to wait to November months later. So I
Wow.
had no health insurance during a whole period, almost a year, almost
Wow.
a year. So I've
Wow.
ran into other people that have went through that, but I went through that personally. So
Hmm.
the healthcare issue, I haven't had anything, come up about it. But what I am worried about is if they are going to like get rid of that for people
Yeah.
like me. So yeah.
There is, of course, those are some of the main things that people have been concerned about with the
Mhm.
president and all of his executive orders. And the other
Yeah.
thing would be that of education. Now, how many
Yeah.
schools do you have in the city of Lithonia?
So
Do you
we
know?
have we have Lithonia Middle, we have Stoneview Elementary, we have Lithonia High School. So it's really like three. But then
Okay.
you have our border city, our sister city, Stonecrest. We got MLK, we got Arabia Mountain, we got Miller Grove, we got Stevenson.
Mhm.
So yeah, we got a lot of
And,
schools.
right. And one of the biggest concerns now is the Department of Education. And I think I
Hmm.
saw something earlier. Um, and I don't know how true this is because I will admit that there is a lot of fake news. I hate to quote them, but
Oh
there's a
yeah,
lot of fake news out there.
you gotta be careful.
But
Yeah.
but right. But I saw something today that said that the Department of Education was going to strip federal funding from schools if they continued with DEI programs. And so I don't know. I didn't get a chance to go back and read that. Uh,
You saw
if
that
that was
today?
Yes, I saw it today. Again,
Wow.
I don't know
Okay.
if that was a real article
Yeah,
or if
yeah.
it's those
Okay.
propaganda articles. Again,
Okay.
one thing I will say that he is right about, there's a lot of fake news out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that was a real article
Okay.
or not. Well, what I read earlier, or I saw earlier, that this president, now he's
Hmm.
not the one that has signed more executive orders than anybody,
Hmm.
but currently he has signed 65 executive orders since becoming a president. And I don't think, right, and I don't think that he's made 100 days. Matter of fact, he hasn't been in office 100 days yet. I don't think so. No, he hasn't. We haven't been 100 days into the new year, or for that matter, into his presidency. And he's
Awesome.
already signed 67 executive orders.
Mm.
Now, is there such a thing? And of course, you can plead the fifth on this. I know that you may not be. Is there such a thing as overreach in an office as an elected official?
When I tell you, yeah, yes, I was on city council with some overreach. Um, it, I plead the fifth. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but um,
Understood. Well,
doing too
as of
much.
now,
That's what I'm gonna say. Doing too much. It's not necessary.
doing too much,
Not
doing
it's
too
not,
much.
and
So
it's
I'm
not
going to route all
about you. That's what I had to learn. Like running something
right.
is not about you. It's about everybody. That's why I said the
Mm.
left hand needs to know what the right is doing at all times. That's how you stay out
So
of trouble too.
what people will, so I will tell you, my favorite president has always been, I've
Mhm.
never been ashamed to say this, is FDR, Franklin Roosevelt.
Mhm.
And I say that because, I mean, he guided America through one of the most difficult
Right.
times
Mhm.
that we can face as a nation.
Mhm.
And prior to, I can't even think what amendment it is. I don't want to misquote because I don't want anybody writing saying I said the wrong amendment. But prior to this amendment,
Okay.
there was no term limits for the president. And
Okay.
so Franklin Roosevelt served, well, was elected 4 times to serve as president.
Okay.
Uh, and he, of course, died into his fourth term. But he has signed more executive orders than any president of the United States. Now,
Okay.
granted, he was a Democrat, but he signed 3,721 executive orders in the time and he was president.
Wow.
So I don't have any problem with telling people I am not a Trump supporter, but
Mhm.
I kind of put this into perspective because
Mhm.
people will say, well, oh, he's doing too much, or he
Mhm.
he's signing
Mhm.
too many things into law
Yeah.
into but in his first term he only signed 220.
Okay.
So right now he's at 285 as a total. Now, President Obama, in all 8 of his years, signed 276 executive orders. Now, that's
Okay.
in 8 years. President Trump is at 285 in 4 years and 35 days. So there's a lot to be said about that. But I do believe, and I have seen from a elected official status, that there's a lot of overreach, and some people
Mhm.
take their roles and they use it, again, to your point, for them.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
about you, but
Mhm.
quite often we see people using it about them. Here's a question: does the city ordinance permit businesses that
Mhm.
offer the same services open in the same mile radius, or approved to allow same service businesses to operate?
Yes, definitely. We got a situation right now. There is 4 event centers in the city of Lithonia in the same
Mm,
proximity, basically. We only supposed to have 2, but
mm,
sometimes there is some type of special I don't want to say special privilege, but council can make a decision and say, hey, this might be a good look because they do something different from that event center.
right,
So,
right.
sometimes a lot of things are taken in consideration and you can override some things. So I've seen that time or two, but right now, they are definitely saying no more event centers. So yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
Now,
But
do you have
everything is
the
in place.
ability?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the ability to veto any of the
Oh
things
yeah,
that are
definitely.
brought to you?
Definitely. Hmm. Definitely. But ever
So
since but honestly, what is this? My 5th year as mayor? I've never done that. I've
okay,
never done
okay,
that.
that's huge.
Our
Well,
council
that speaks
is a,
volumes to your work with the council
yeah,
and how you all
I got a good
together.
council.
Yeah,
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 definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's something to think about. And I didn't think about it
Mm-hmm.
until just that question was asked.
Mm-hmm.
How many times? So that's part of this conversation. Being able to
Mm-hmm.
veto, because people fail to realize the president does have the ability to sign into
Mm-hmm.
uh, sign a lot of executive orders, but a lot of it has to be, depending on the severity of it, a lot of it still has to be reviewed by Congress, and people don't know
Right.
that. It's not
Right.
understood. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I've tried to get people to understand is don't get so wrapped up in this fear mongering that's taking place based on the fact that he's signing all of these executive
That's
orders.
why I no longer watch the news. That's why I no longer watch CNN like I used to,
Yes.
because it will get you totally upset. I can't take it. So
I
yeah,
stopped watching the news probably
yeah,
10 years ago, but because I
yeah,
stay in tune to political stuff,
yeah.
I'm aware of what's going on, but I don't watch news at all. Matter of fact, one of my members at the church said, Pastor, how do you even know anything that's going on? I said, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tell me.
Yeah.
They'll tell me, you live in Atlanta, you didn't see this? No, I didn't
Mm-mm.
see any of it. I don't
Mm-mm.
know any of it because I
I'll
don't
hear
watch
about
any
it
of it.
later. Yeah, I can.
Exactly, exactly. I'll hear about it later. Now, you
Right.
mentioned earlier when you were talking about your diagnosis, and
Mm-hmm.
let me backtrack and say thank you for sharing.
Oh, no problem.
There are a lot who are afraid
Mm-hmm.
and somewhat ashamed to talk about things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature, and they're not able to be as strong as you are. And I thank you for that. Thank you for being so vocal and sharing that. And you also mentioned that that the mayor is a part-time position.
Yes.
So that's I understand it, but I guess I don't understand it because I'm thinking the city ain't part-time. The city works
Oh.
24/7, 365.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how is it that help me understand that better, please, if you can.
So I oversee day-to-day operations. I'm not
Right.
required to be here every day. But honestly,
I got
I am here every day, but I'm not required to be here every day. I
I
live
got you.
here. I have a business down the street, just like I oversee Tri-Cities Funeral Home. I oversee that. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Everybody here
Yes.
at City Hall knows what they're supposed to do. So
Yes.
I'm just, that's why it's part-time, just like City Council, same thing. Long as we come in on the first and third Mondays and have our meetings, long as I attend the things that I supposed to attend, just
Right.
like things like this, things as far as going to the schools, speaking to the students about different things, having meetings with different developers, things of that nature, all of that is done by my city clerk arranging different things at different times. So
Yes.
it's more or less part-time. It's not something you have to be full-time to do, because this is a small city. But City of Atlanta, my man Dickens, he got it going on. I like that. Um,
Yeah.
he's doing an amazing job, but now that's full-time. That's why I said that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so
Now,
it's a
something I want to point this out now. You could slap me on the hand for this. Now I'm gonna tell you one
uh-huh.
of your executive privileges that you have that I've seen a few times when you've had to get downtown to something. I've seen your car being escorted by a police officer when you've had, oh no, what happened to the internet? Did we lose the live stream? Oh no, what just happened? Oh
Okay,
no.
I'll let you know when she comes back. We probably dropped her internet or something. She probably dropped, or either you put her on the spot.
No.
Filibuster.
That's so awful. I don't know what happened, but that was so funny to me.
Yeah, she went
Oh
off on that
no.
question that you said on that statement that you
Right,
made.
right. Let me see if she's making it back in. Or did her phone die? Maybe her phone was dying. I don't know.
Yeah, it may have cut out, but go ahead, and we'll pick up when she comes
Okay.
back.
I'm messing her. Please join back if you can. I apologize. We apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for that interruption there. But in case she doesn't make it back, we want to say thank you so very much. And I think her phone did die because as I'm texting, nothing is going through. But thank you so very much, Mayor Reynolds, for joining us. We really appreciate your candor and for sharing with us, your role as mayor and the things that you have been enduring as you have served in that position. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to kind of get back to the topic of the president and the executive orders. And I want to kind of bring something to our attention about how these things come into play. So, whereas most people believe that there is no oversight for the president and the executive orders, people are believing that he's just signing stuff because he feels like doing so. Well, there is precedence and there's oversight. And that oversight comes from the Federal Registry, which is something that was put into play and as well as it comes from the Constitution. Our Constitution affords the president the opportunity to do executive orders. Whether we, there she is, whether we like it or not. Thank you so very much for joining us. I thought I threw you off with my question, but whether we like it or not, we have to acknowledge that these are some of the things that the president has the ability to do as an elected official. You're on mute, Mayor Reynolds. Your phone is still on mute. There you go.
All right,
thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
Did your phone died on us?
Of course. It's charging.
I figured it's. I figured.
But
listen,
you
I
had
said no.
asked me.
I said
No,
I didn't
you
catch
had
you off
asked
guard.
me. What was that question you asked me?
I was being silly about executive privilege. I was about to say, I know that you have some of it. I've seen a few times where you've had to get through some traffic downtown.
Oh yeah, the car.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
you've had that police escort getting you through there. So I know that there's some perks to the job, if not a whole lot. I know there are some perks to it. But I wanted to ask, one of the questions that came forward was asking, and this is kind of going back on what you were talking about earlier, is there insurance provided for the elected officials by the city?
It is. Yeah. Okay. When I first came, it wasn't. But when I realized, like, everybody goes through different things. So I made sure, not just because of my situation, but there is others that need it as well. So I made sure that we were able to provide it. So I can say since last year, it come to pass. So it was never offered to our part-time people. We have officers. It was never offered to us as elected officials. So under my administration, I made sure that it was offered. So
that's awesome. That's definitely something that you can write home about. That's something that I'm sure that the citizens and of course the people that are working for the city truly understand. What is the population of Lithonia?
We're at 2,785, I believe now. That's in the city of Lithonia. But in unincorporated, of course, it's a lot of people. So we are preparing to annex those.
I was just about to ask that next question. Yes.
We're getting ready to do it. So getting ready to do it soon.
So where are those funds going now for the unincorporated Lithonia? Do they go to the Cap County? Oh, I figured. Okay. So they go to the Cap. So once it becomes annexed, then those funds will come into Lithonia.
Come into the city, And what's crazy is that we're so close together that we're already giving them services. Even though they're unincorporated, we try to tell them you're unincorporated, you need to call the Cap. We do that. But if it's so close where they need simple stuff, I make sure they get the services that they need because, you know, a county, when you call on our county, they're a good county. The Cap is great. Nothing bad to say, but it just takes time. Some of us, we don't have that time to wait on simple things. So that's what I've learned. If we all work together, you know, for the betterment of everybody, we can do it. So I'm grateful that the DeKalb County government has noticed the smaller cities like Lithonia, like Stone Mountain, like Clarkston, things of that nature, because they gave us some help as far as funding to make sure that we have what we need, because even though we're a smaller city, you know, and we're doing all these other services for unincorporated Lithonia, unincorporated Stone Mountain, things of that nature, where the funds coming from. So they actually gave us, you know, some funds to help out with that last year under our previous CEO and our commissioner. So grateful for that.
So, which would bring me to the next question, and I think really you've answered it there. Is there a great working relationship between city and county? I know that we find that sometimes in other areas, especially in Fulton County, there's a disparity that we see a lot in Fulton County of North Fulton and South Fulton.
DeKalb.
Everybody's getting a fair share.
Yes.
Today I toured the Cab today like I've never done before with the funeral that I did early today. I mean, I just felt like we were all over the place. that's why I was thinking today was Saturday. I forgot it was a Monday. I did a because all Black folks go to heaven on Saturday, but apparently we toured. I went everywhere in the cab today, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been on this street before in my life.
Wow.
But it was, I think, mostly in goodness. Where is Beulah in Decatur? Where is that?
That's Decatur.
I can't think. Okay, so yeah, we toured
Decatur.
a lot of Decatur.
Yep.
Yes, gotcha. We toured
Pastor
a lot.
Black,
I was
right?
all through today.
You talking
Yes.
about
Oh
Pastor
yeah,
Black, right?
Jerry Black.
Yeah, I love him.
Jerry Black.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I will say this just because it just 2 years since my pastor, Dr. R.O. White, had passed away, and when I was there at Beulah today, I mentioned to Dr. Black, I said, you know, when you and Dr. White were together, they would always say that you would get the message in black and white. That's how they would say it to each other.
I like that. I like that.
In black and white.
I
absolutely miss that. So, how do you find the time? Let me just ask this personally. How do you find the time for Shameka? I mean, because we know that you are the mayor, you are the funeral home director and owner, and you're the mother, as the banner said, other mayor mortician. How do you find your time in between all three of those?
Well, I'm grateful that I'm able to set my own schedule, but I've noticed I do too much. Remember I told you about that earlier? I take on a lot, and I had to learn, Shameka, you can't save the world. You can't save the world. And when I went through what I went through with my health, that's when I realized, step back. There's so many people that is working for you, working with you, working under you, that is willing to do whatever that needs to be done. You got to delegate. You got to stop doing so much. And that's what I learned 2 years ago. So now I do have my free time. Just like you reached out to me, maybe last week, and asked about this particular day. I wanted to do it. I didn't even look at my schedule. I just said, okay, let me do it. Not realizing I have a 5:30 city council meeting. And I say, you know what? I'm still going to do it. I'm just going to step away and talk to Dr. Flint for a second. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm able to, to set my own schedule. But I have to pull back some and realize that, it's still going to be just like when I was sick. The funeral home was still there without me.
Yes.
The city of Lithonia, while I was sick,
but
going
you
through
were
chemo,
still there too. Now
they was doing it. There, in the bed at the doctor. I was there. But it's a challenge. You got to pull back. You got to learn how to pull back and just let people, do what they're supposed to do. That's all.
One of the greatest quotes that I've probably ever learned in life concerning leadership from Hamden L. Faulkner. Now, he is the founder of FBLA and PBL, Future Business Leaders of America and Professional Business.
Yeah.
And he said the greatest tenet of a leader is preparing others to lead themselves.
Wow.
And so in his absence, he said, I want to be able to know that the leaders that I prepared are able to move forward in my absence. Whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm at home in the bed resting, whatever it is, I need to know that I have prepared these leaders in such a way that they can lead themselves.
I like that.
And so from your statement, that tells me that, although it was due to illness, but the city was still able to function. The funeral home was still able to function. But that comes from good leadership. And we don't see it all the time. And especially in our government level, they make the statement we've heard the old adage, when the cat's away, the mouse is at play. When there's nobody at the head, there are people just doing whatever they want, kind of going back to overspending, overreaching, doing whatever they feel that they can do. And again, going back to the thing with President Trump, I stress, and I want people to understand, and I said this earlier, and I want to say this again, he does have a right as president for executive orders. He has that ability. But most of them, if not all of them, have congressional oversight.
Right.
And just as you, as the mayor of a city, there is a council oversight. There is not only a council oversight, but there's the people
The
oversight.
people.
And this is the part that we fail to be right. This is the part that we fail to realize as citizens, not only of our respective cities, not only of our respective states, but of our nation. We have a right more than anybody, more than any of the elected officials, to voice our opinion and make sure that they understand what it is that we want. We hear often, you know, an elected official will say, my constituents this and my constituents that. But generally, they're referring to their coffers, the people who are putting money in their pocket, rather than the people who are actually in their districts complaining and telling what they need. And so there is always checks and balances, is the point that I'm trying to make. There's checks and balances in every form of government. Is there overreach sometime? Absolutely. Do we see some people using abuse of power? Absolutely. But when we, at our best, follow our Constitution, follow our democracy, we can see that it actually works for our good.
Exactly.
Quite often, we don't see that on a regular basis.
Exactly.
Would you say, now take this, don't take this the wrong way. Are you a weak mayor and a strong council charter, or a strong council, or a weak council and a strong mayor charter?
It's a weak council, strong mayor, and that's in our charter, of course.
Yes.
And I never played it that way. I had a city manager, even the city manager that we have now, he had to remind me, we have a strong mayor, weak council government. And I never knew that, because I always wanted to always be that neutral person and just stand in the middle and say, hey, what y'all want to do? You know, I never thought it was about, you know, me being the strong mayor. What does that mean? We still working together. But you know,
I love
it. I don't get into that. I don't. Nope.
You're probably one of the most non-confrontational people I have ever met in my life.
I don't like it.
You are very non-confrontational.
I don't like it at all.
This I know. Listen, I have to take a personal point of privilege here and say I can't say thank you enough. Of course, this has been several years ago, but I just have to let our listeners know that this wonderful mayor showed up for me for my birthday party I had a few years ago. I invited her to come, and I was just elated to see her. It just so happened I was in her city, and so she came out to show up. Me, and I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I was just floored. And people are like, "Who are you, Joe Flint? You got the mayor to come to your birthday party?" I said, "Hey, I'm Joe Flint." That tells a story right there. But no, I can't say thank you enough. I still am grateful for that. Well, listen, the hour has been spent well. I don't want to take any more of your time, but I want to ask you, is there anything that you want to leave with our listeners? Anything you want to say about you as an individual, about the city of Lithonia, about Tri-Cities Funeral Home, anything that you want to add to let people know that you are really the people's mayor?
Yes, I honestly just want to let everyone know that whoever is listening, to pray for our nation. That's all I can say today. It's not about me. It's not about my personal business. It's not about the city of Lithonia. I'm talking about this entire country, this entire world that we're living in. We really need to start praying and understanding, you know, it hurts. And right now I'm talking about not saying, you know, we don't like this president. I don't like this president. I didn't like Trump. I don't like Obama. And I'm not talking about that. I just need God to just heal this land, period.
Yes.
That's what I really want you all to realize. It's not about politics, religion, things of that nature. Whoever your God is, that's who I want you to pray to. And that's all I have to say. Yeah.
That's a message I might have to preach that Sunday. Whoever your God is. That's what they told. That's what the people had to tell the folks on the ship when oh goodness, I can't call his name, when he got cast over into as well as the preacher can't even say it. Oh my God, I can't even get my words out. But everybody knows who I'm talking about. But when he was cast over Jonah into the whale, and the captain on board had to say, whoever your God is, why don't you pray to your God right now? So you were the captain on that ship right now. Whoever your God is,
That's it.
God, make sure
That's
I
all.
understand. All right.
That's all I
All
can
right,
say
Mayor.
on my heart.
Mayor Reverend Reynolds, we appreciate you so very much. Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
joining us here on People's Choice WCEG Talk Radio
You're
Network.
welcome.
We appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you again.
You
Ladies
too.
and gentlemen, you have
Bye, you
again
guys.
People's Choice. I'm your host, Joe Flint, all one word, like a Tribe Called Quest. Have a good evening.